Hey everyone, we're going to talk about our last lesson in sets, which is 2.5. And these are application problems, so problems that you could apply to real world situations. We're going to use knowledge of sets to apply to practical situations. And when we use application problems, we want to look at using a methodical process to solve those problems. So there's different plans you can carry out when solving word problems, but these four steps should help you solve any of these problems. One of them is, first of all, to understand the problem. So it's okay to read the problem a few times before you actually attempt to solve it, just to make sense of it. You want to ask yourself, what is the problem asking for? Like, what am I trying to find? And then after you know what the problem is, you want to come up with a plan. So you can either list some of the facts that are given. I tend to highlight things and then try to think about how they're related. And then you want to carry out the plan that you came up with. So one of those plans is to draw a Venn diagram, since that's a visual way of solving a problem, and then label the diagram. One of the suggestions that your book gives is to start with the intersection and then work outwards. Sometimes that doesn't work, but that tends to work most times. And usually that's where I'll begin when I solve problems. I'll start with the intersection. And when I talk about the intersection, if you look at the diagram that I have here, the intersection is where these two circles that represent the sets where they overlap at. And then we want to examine our answer and check to make sure it's reasonable. So it's not always, the answer you get isn't always going to be correct. So you want to think about does this answer make sense before you write down your final answer. So let's look at the first problem here. And I'll let you all pause and read it to yourself and read it a couple times. Look at the questions that you're trying to answer and think about how you're going to apply this problem to the Venn diagram. So after reading the problem, it says Pizza Hut surveyed 250 of its customers and collected the following information regarding purchases. 175 purchased pizza, 141 purchased chicken wings, 80 purchased both pizza and chicken wings. Of those surveyed, how many customers A. did not purchase either pizza or chicken wings, B. purchased chicken wings but not pizza, C. purchased pizza but not chicken wings, and D. purchased pizza or chicken wings? So these questions seem very similar, but they're asking different things. And the first thing we should do is create our Venn diagram that represents the pizza and the chicken wings, and also the area that represents people that bought both. So right away, I'm going to highlight some things. One of the things that I notice here is that 80 people purchased both pizza and chicken wings. So that's going to be the intersection, and I'm going to place the 80 right here in the middle of the two sets. One of the sets is going to represent pizza, which I'll label as P. The other is going to be the chicken wings, which I'll label just as W. And then we know that the outer part, so the inside of the rectangle that's not including the circles, would be those who didn't order either of those items. Okay, so one of the other important things here is that they surveyed 250 customers. And that's really important because when we look at our circles, we need to be careful of the totals that we're getting. So when I look here, it says 175 people purchased pizza. So I know that my pizza circle is this one. And I know that that needs to add up to 175. So I'm going to take 175 and subtract 80. And that's going to give me the number of people who purchased pizza only. So that would be just this area here. So when I do 175 minus 80, you get 95. So 95 people purchased pizza only. But if you add the 95 and 80, it gives you 175, which would be the total number of people who purchased pizza. Now, those could have included people that purchased chicken wings as well. The next thing I'm going to do is fill in the other circle, so those who ordered chicken wings. And again, I'm looking for the number of people who purchased only chicken wings. We know 80 purchased both pizza and chicken wings, so I need to find the number of people who purchased only chicken wings. So I notice here that there's 141 people who purchased the chicken wings. So now I'm going to do 141 minus 80, and I'm going to get 61. So the area in white there inside the wing circle, the 61 represents people who only purchased chicken wings and they did not purchase both. But if you add the 80 and 61, you get 141 people total that purchased chicken wings. But remember, that includes some of the people who purchased both. And then the last thing I need to do is fill in the space that's inside the rectangle that represents people who didn't purchase either chicken wings or pizza. So that is going to answer the first question. So I know that I have a total of 250 people that were surveyed, and I want to know how many customers did not purchase either pizza or chicken wings. So if I add 95, 80, and 61, that's going to tell me the number of people who purchased pizza or chicken wings. So to figure out the number of people who purchased neither, I'm going to subtract that total from 250. So I'm going to have 250 minus 95 plus 80 plus 61. And when I calculate all of that, I'm going to get 14. So that 14 I'm going to place inside the rectangle. And that represents, again, those who didn't purchase either pizza or chicken wings. Now I'm looking for the number of customers who purchased chicken wings but not pizza. So if you look at the Venn diagram, those who purchased only chicken wings but didn't purchase pizza would be the area in white. So that would be 61 customers. The number of people who purchased pizza but not chicken wings would be the green, so that would be 95. And then the number of people who purchased pizza or chicken wings would be the opposite of what we came up with in A. So to determine the number of people who purchased pizza or chicken wings, we would just add 95 plus 80 plus 61. So it is the numbers added within the three circles, and you get 236. So again, the green represents people who only ordered pizza. The yellow is those who ordered both. And the white is those who ordered only wings. And then the 14 is those who ordered none. Let's move on to problem number 2. Feel free to pause the video and read the problem, look at the questions, and start beginning to label the Venn diagram, and then unpause when you're ready. Problem 2 says Best Buy has recorded recent sales for 3 types of computer software: games, educational software, and utility programs. The following information regarding software purchases was obtained from a survey of 893 customers. And then they list all the different purchases. I'm going to highlight some important items here in the problem. So we know that we're looking for the recent sales of 3 types of computer software, and those are games, educational software, and utility programs. So they're going to represent my three circles. So I'm going to call the top left circle a G for games. I'm going to have the top right as E for educational software. And I'm going to call the bottom circle U for utility. And I'm going to label all of these regions so that I can refer to them as we're doing this problem. So I'm going to call this region 1, 2, and 3. And then this is region 4, 5, 6, and then region 7. Okay. The other thing that's important here that I'm going to highlight is that they surveyed 893 customers. So that's going to be important as well. The first thing I want to find is where they all intersect at, which would be region 5. So I'm going to try to fill that in first because that would represent the number of people that purchase games and educational software and utility programs, because that's where all three circles intersect at. So if I go through my list here, it tells me that 157 purchased all three types of software. So I know that in region 5 in the yellow, I'm going to have 157. Now, once I have that, I can start working into the outer areas of the circle. So let's fill in the rest of them, and then we'll answer the questions. So if I look here at the region 2, region 2 represents the people that bought games and educational software. So that would be this part right here. So I know that those two circles, the green and the yellow, need to add up to 297. So to figure out region 2, I'm just going to take 297 minus 157. And when I do that, that's going to leave me with 140. Next, let's look at region 4 and 5. So in the yellow and orange region, those represent the number of people who purchase games and utility programs. So if I look at my list, I have 205 people that purchase games and utility programs. So I know that that needs to add up to 205. So if I take 205 and I subtract 157, I get 48. Next, I want to look at region 6 and region 5. Now, for region 6, I need to figure out the number of people that purchased educational software and utility programs. And if I look here, it tells me 196 did. So I know that the blue and the yellow need to add up to 196. So if you do 196 minus 157, you get 39. Now I need to fill in all the other pieces of the circle. So let's look at the games circle. So in this information, they tell me that 545 purchased games. So I know that in the games circle, all of those numbers need to add up to 545. So I need to take 140 plus 157 plus 48 and add them and subtract it from 545. So I'm adding up the green, the yellow, and the orange because they're all part of the game circle, and I'm going to subtract that total from 545. And when you do that, you should get 200. To find region 3, which would be part of the educational software, I need to do the same thing, except this time I need to add the green, the yellow, and the blue because they're part of the educational software circle. So I'm going to add 140 plus 157 plus 39, and now I'm going to subtract that from 497. And when you do that, you should get 161. And then the only one that's left is utility programs. So it tells me that 290 purchase utility programs. So looking at the bottom circle, I need to take 48 plus 157 plus 39. So add the orange, the yellow, and the blue regions, and then subtract that from 290. And when you do that, you should get 46. Now, to get the rectangle, I need to add all of those numbers and subtract it from the total number of people that were surveyed, which was 893. So I'm going to add up 200, 140, 161, 48, 157, 39, and 46. And I'm going to subtract that from 893, which was the total number of people surveyed. And that's going to give me 102. So that would represent the people that didn't buy any of those games, educational software, or utility programs. So that is the answer to letter A. In order to figure out how many customers purchased only games, I'm going to look at the game circle, and that would represent the white region, or region 1. They're the customers who purchased only games, so there were 200. In letter C, it says at least one of these types of software. So when we say at least one, that means one or more. So we know that 893 total people were surveyed. And if we take away those people who didn't buy any of that software, we'll be left with the people who bought one or more types of that software. So we're going to subtract out the answer we got in letter A. Again, at least means one or more. So if you take the total number of people that were surveyed and you subtract out those who didn't buy any of that software, it's going to leave you with at least one person who bought that type of software. So when you subtract those two numbers, you get 791. So 791 customers bought at least one of those types of software. And letter D is asking for exactly two of these types of software. So here I'm going to add up the region 2, the region 4, and the region 6. And that's going to give me the number of customers who bought exactly two, because those regions represent where two circles overlap. So again, that would be the green region. That's where games and educational software overlap. So that means those people bought at least two, exactly two. And then you have the blue region, which represents the number of people who bought exactly two of the utility programs and educational software. And then add up the orange region, and that represents the number of people who bought exactly games and utility programs. So again, that's going to be 140 plus 48 plus 39. And when you add those, you get 227. And then the last problem is a challenge problem, problem 3, which I will release in a later video, but I will give you the answer for problem 3. So after you pause the video and read it and label the diagram, the question is, what is the total number of family members? And the answer here that you should get is 16. So try that one on your own and see if you can get it without my help, and then I'll release a video later explaining how to work that problem out. That concludes the video for 2.5. There is a test after this video, which you will be given directions on how to complete the test. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Use my virtual office hours and sign up for a time, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Or if your question can be answered in an email, feel free to email me as well. All right, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.